It was meant to be nothing more than a casual night out. For weeks, my wife had been asking me to take her to a new bar downtown, one that attracted a much younger crowd. I wasn't enthusiastic about it. I knew I was older than most of the people who went there, and I was sure I'd feel out of place, but I agreed because it mattered to her. That night, she looked incredible, wearing a dress that drew attention the moment we walked through the door. I noticed heads turning, eyes lingering, and I told myself it was harmless. She was simply beautiful. What I never anticipated was how quickly that attention would turn into public humiliation for me. The bar pulsed with loud music and laughter, and I did my best to focus on enjoying the evening with her. We ordered drinks, found a place to sit, and I watched her animate as she talked about her week, smiling the way she always did. Then a group of college guys walked in, rowdy, intoxicated, overflowing with confidence. They noticed her almost immediately. Before long, one of them leaned in with a grin dripping with arrogance. "Hey, gorgeous," he said, completely ignoring me. "You don't look like you belong here with him." My wife let out an awkward laugh, and my stomach nodded. I hoped they'd move on, lose interest, but they didn't. Another guy spoke up, louder this time, making sure people nearby could hear. "Seriously, what's a hot woman like you doing with an old man? Shouldn't you be with someone your own age?" The group burst into laughter, slapping hands together like they just told the joke of the night. My wife shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable, but she didn't shut them down. Instead, she glanced at me with a nervous smile, as if hoping I'd laugh it off too. But it wasn't funny. It was cruel. I sat there, humiliated, listening to strangers tear me down while my wife remained silent. I forced myself to stay composed, knowing that starting a fight in a bar full of drunk young men would only make things worse. Still, their words cut deeply. I'd always known I was older than her, and that people sometimes stared, but having it weaponized against me in public was something I wasn't ready for. I looked at her, waiting for her to speak up, to say anything at all, but she just took another sip of her drink. The guys kept going. One leaned closer and whispered something to her that made her blush. My chest tightened. This wasn't just disrespectful. It was degrading to me and to our marriage. She finally tried to deflect it with a weak laugh and said, "I'm married." Even that sounded timid, like she was more uncomfortable rejecting them than letting them insult me. "Married to him?" One of them scoffed, pointing at me in disbelief. The laughter erupted again, louder this time, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't only about a few drunken kids. It was about the fact that she was allowing it to happen. I stood up slowly, making sure my voice stayed steady. I looked each of them in the eye and said, "You think being young makes you men, but you don't know the first thing about respect." They quieted briefly, only to smirk and roll their eyes. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a punch. I didn't need to. I took my wife's hand and said, "We're leaving." The bar went quiet for a moment as I led her toward the exit. My pride was bruised, but my dignity remained intact. Those young men might have thought they'd won, but walking away wasn't weakness. It was strength. Outside, the cool night air hit me, but my blood was still boiling. I turned to her and asked, "Why didn't you say anything? Why did you let them humiliate me like that?" She looked down, guilt written across her face, and murmured, "I didn't want to cause a scene." That answer hurt more than anything those guys had said. "A scene?" I replied. "What about standing by me? What about defending the man who has always stood by you?" In that moment, I realized the issue wasn't just those college kids. It was the fractures in our relationship that had been hidden, until now. The drive home was silent. She kept glancing at me, as if waiting for me to calm down, but I couldn't. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. Respect is the foundation of love. If she couldn't stand up for me when strangers mocked me, what did that say about our marriage? I didn't expect her to fight them. One firm sentence in my defense would have been enough. Instead, she chose silence, and that silence spoke volumes. That night, as she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment. I wasn't angry at the guys anymore. They were just drunk kids being foolish. What hurt was how she had allowed it all to happen. I had given her my loyalty, my trust, my unwavering support, and when I needed her most, she left me standing alone. For the first time, I wondered if the age gap between us wasn't just about years, it was a gap in loyalty, in values, in respect. The next morning, I told her calmly, "Last night changed something for me. I don't care what strangers think, but I care deeply about how my wife stands beside me. And last night, you didn't." She tried to apologize, but the damage was already done. I realized then that the public mockery wasn't the real injury. The real pain was discovering that the woman I loved wasn't willing to protect me the way I had always protected her. And in that quiet realization, I knew I would never see her or our marriage the same way again.